camera quality just went down. I don't know what that's about.
No, it's back up. Why have you agreed to me? Because I've been desperate to find Black Lives Matter supporters to talk to me, and they look at my posts, my recent posts, and they're like, yeah, no thank you, and they walk the other way. But I've been rejected a lot. Maybe the reason why you agreed to talk to me is because maybe you haven't seen my post. Maybe if you saw the post that they have seen, you were like, huh?
I see your post.
Yeah.
See the trouble you cause.
Okay, so why is it, given that you are a Black Lives Matter supporter and you agreed to talk to me, why do you think based on my post, like, why do you think I'm being rejected so much by have I been that bad?
You know, last year when you came down, I think you know me, I get on your nerves and you get on mine. So we're all good. When people start seeing certain labels as, like, for example, when I said conservative and you said, let's make it very clear that the ex-Muslim community is not
you're right.
You know,
I was triggered.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Even, like, it's not just the people who are disagreeing with my post that are just assuming my entire ideology. It's also the people who are agreeing with me, like,
yeah, I mean, anti-BLM.
Like, no.
You have, you know...
You actually acknowledge they exist.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well that's
We know Nation of Islam exists. You know, like that.
I think they exist, but that's like...
There's people who deny it.
Given the people that I've been talking to, that's like...
Wow, you actually are saying they're real. That's amazing.
Okay, but go on, continue.
Am I being controversial right now?
Yes. I mean,
it's not a new place for me to be in. I do find myself these days putting a lot more disclaimers before I actually make a point, just because people will misread it, intentionally or not, and it's annoying. It's frustrating.
Because your disclaimers are going to need disclaimers, right? Okay, but this is not going well. I was hoping we'd disagree so we could fight. But
well, happy accident.
Okay, let me actually get a little bit more like,
okay.
raise the stakes here. Okay, so but then this is the reaction that the BLM supporters should give, and they do not give, and this is why they should hire me to make this argument for them. Okay?
It's controversial.
Yeah. I'm giving you this. I'm telling you this. I put this already out, and somebody's gonna copy me, without giving me credit, but whatever. Okay, so the BLM supporters, they're focused on the police shootings, and they shouldn't be. They should, okay? Because that's the only one area that there doesn't seem to be discrimination against black people. When it comes to unarmed killing of people by shooting, I'm not talking about the George Floyd situation, like that. This is shooting, okay? That's the only area where the data shows that if you adjust for the crime rates, there doesn't seem to be discrimination against black people, okay? There does seem to be discrimination in almost everywhere else, right? When it comes to non-lethal violence, when it comes to the arrests, when it comes to sentencing, when it comes to the number of sentencing and the amount of sentencing, right? All of it seems to be
death row and people who are put in.
But there's discrimination. There's a discrimination in these areas even after you adjust for the crime rates. When it comes to the police shootings, there doesn't seem to be discrimination if you adjust for the crime rates, right? Yeah. So what the BLM supporters should say, instead of, unlike the current BLM people that are focusing on the shootings, they should respond to the other side like, are you serious? You looked at all the data, and all the data show that there's discrimination everywhere, and you found one tiny area, which is the shootings, shooting of unarmed people. That tiny one area that there is no discrimination, and you're just jumping on that, and you keep saying it. Oh, there's no discrimination. There's no discrimination. There's no discrimination. And it's just that one tiny area. Like, are you seriously ignoring everywhere else that there's discrimination?
Somebody needs to take that whole speech and animate it. Two,
I have a very hard time believing, no matter how evil you are, that
Mhm.
you're like, I'm gonna kill a man on camera today. Like, I
that's
have a hard
scary
time.
about it. That's
I
what's scary about it. Like, what if that is what he was doing? Like, he was. It's
What
just
if? Yeah, it
fucked up.
might be, but it's just hard for me to believe that. It's just hard for me to believe that. Like
Mm.
that. I mean, you don't have to. You
You
don't
have
have.
a soft heart, Armin.
Oh, I'm recognizing. People look at now. Oh, this number is high. This number is also high. These two must be connected. Oh, I figured it out. No,
Context
you're.
is important.
You're right. Ultimately, like the research paper is not like revelation from God, and all of a sudden, like it comes out like, oh, this is it, guys. Just stop. Research. We have research paper. No more arguments. Here's the conclusion. Obviously,
Armin Nababi believes in God. Confirmed.
when people say like, oh, I can't trust this, I'm like, okay, what's the alternative? Like, then then what are you gonna use if not this? Because there is nothing else. There is nothing better.
There is
You-
nothing better.
There is nothing better. But I've seen a lot of people. Okay, so this is the problem that I have with this whole woke cult. Okay, because
Okay, explain. Okay, hold on. Before you do this, explain to me the woke cult because I've been grouped in with them and I don't know who they are.
well, no, you're not one of them based on what
Okay.
you say. No, but
Okay.
the woke cult is basically this. It's basically people who have an ideology that they will defend regardless of what evidence shows,
Mhm.
and questioning their dogma is seen as blasphemous.
Right.
Basically that kind of attitude, right? And the people who disagree with them are the feels over reals people.
It just feels over real.
Okay, here's the thing.
Okay.
People think like, okay, let me tell you what a BLM supporter should say to me.
Okay.
Okay? This again, free of charge, okay? Here's the counter. Here's a strong counter to what I would say, okay?
Okay, fine, Armin. There's some minority woke Pakistani mujahideen who are going crazy. They're insane. They're like taking it too far. They don't understand what how to follow the evidence and blah blah blah. But no matter how, yes, they're crazy. But you yourself acknowledge that racism is a real thing, and people are being discriminated against. And there is police brutality that we need to take. Yes, we have made a lot of progress, but still that we need to make a lot more progress. And which don't you think dealing with racism isn't that a bigger evil than this whole woke, insane people? Like, yeah, let them have their own. Like,
At least,
Oh no, I think they
maybe-
both need to be fucking dealt with. Like, people who don't know how to look at research shouldn't be looking at research. They should learn how to look at research before they start looking at research.
Okay, well, you're taking the other side. Let me actually play devil's advocate. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, okay.
Faye, you're wrong because maybe they're wrong, okay, but they're pushing for the right changes, even if they are misguided and even if they're exaggerating. They are helping us bring attention to the reform that we need to make.
I'm gonna defend Pakistani
Can you
Mujahideen.
identify as Wokistani? Can you make that a hashtag?
No, I'm not one of them, but I'm gonna defend them. Okay?
Okay.
Let's see. Throughout history,
Mhm.
protesting against institutions and governments and other people in a position of authority, protesting against them has been a force for good.
Yeah.
Societies are healthier when protest is a common thing and the people are encouraged to hold the people that rule over them accountable. If protesting is a habit in a society, this is a sign of a healthy society. Yeah, but you didn't answer. I mean, you made sense without answering my question. I'm gonna respond to myself because since you failed to do so. Just kidding.
Go for it. Go for it. I don't know how to answer that question clearly. I'm just saying what I want.
Yeah, because I mean, even if you start listening to people it's a good thing.
Mm.
You know, it's not the right method of coming to the conclusion. Just listening to because people get convinced of all sorts of things by just listening to people, right? The only, the best method is to actually go look at research, okay? But again, it's too high of an expectation for us to get
it's too high of an expectation for an average Joe to be like, yeah, look at all the research papers.
Right. So I guess we need to offer a secondary better method that is not as time consuming but is somewhat reliable.
Do you find that people in power sometimes are ignorant as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Of course. No, but what I'm
Maybe
saying
we should
is
hold them to a higher standard.
right, but the people that are holding them to a higher standard, if they are holding them to the wrong standards because they're ignorant, then they're going to ask them to do the wrong things, right? But I think that the faster, the less time consuming and resource consuming method is to identify a couple of people that have consistently shown that they are looking at the data and are trying to come up with the conclusion objectively, and use those people as a way to listen to those people and listen to them from opposing sides. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like listen to people that you have identified that these are people that are actually looking at the information based on a couple of times that you yourself looked at the information, and you seem like you identify correctly that these people actually looked at the information themselves and came up to these conclusions. And be like, okay, I trust these people not with their conclusions but with their methodology. And on this side of the argument, and these people from the opposing side. Like, don't listen to people that just agree with you, and don't also listen to people that just disagree with you. See the points of from the other side. That's less time consuming than actually going through the research paper itself. Use this method while realizing that this method is more flawed. Like, it's okay to come up with conclusions based on the second method, but you have to be more skeptical of your conclusions if you're using this second method. You have to be less married to the positions that you have if you come to them based on the second method. That's one thing, okay?
This is a good segue to say subscribe to Atheist Republic.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you. I suck at as a YouTuber. I don't know how. Yes, subscribe, people, and subscribe to. Oh, I forgot to ask. Like, what's your channel, by the way? I'll link to it in the description.
Be the most gracious. I did say it at the beginning, but you'll put it in the description. It's fine. We're not here for subscribers for me because people leave me all the time. We're here for subscribers for Atheist Republic because
no. Subscribe to Faye. Subscribe to Faye. Link in the description. They go there as well.
Thank you.
But here's the main problem with this the rewokening. I don't know what to call it. The problem with it is that it's not one of those examples of the protest that is pushing for a greater good. They are pushing for collectivism rather than individualism. Civil rights movement was for individualism. They're pushing for noticing people's colors and putting them in the right place in society rather than the color blindness that the civil rights movement was pushing for. They are pushing for burning, as you mentioned, burn it all down, and even sometimes suggesting without openly saying it that they're okay with violence, even though the civil rights movement was in direct opposition to any sort of violence. Like, they always misquote MLK, like take out of context what MLK said. Like, he said, well, riots are the language of the people unheard. If they actually listen to that, it's a mischaracterization of what he was trying to say.
Martin Luther King believed in peaceful protest.
He was so against violence. That one quote was part of him explaining the riots, not excusing the riots. He himself has been always against the violence, okay? The civil rights movement was not an accelerationist ideology, where again, they were in for working within the system and make one progress at a time, changing the system rather than destroying the system. That was what the civil rights movement was. The civil rights movement was anti-tribal, treating people like humans, not us versus them, white people versus black people. Yes, it was like trying to ignore these tribes and work with each other. This is not what we're doing, right? This is not like, if you actually look, and people think like, oh, Armin, this is fringe. It's not fringe. If books like White Fragility and the book Anti-Racism, these are now the bestsellers on Amazon in the United States, and they're being treated like gospel in corporate America, in schools and universities, and on mainstream media. This is not a fringe movement. This is the movement right now, and it's in the wrong direction. I acknowledge that we have a ton of implicit racism, still exists, implicit racism, and also racism by outcome in the United States. We have made a lot of progress when it comes to explicit racism, but implicit racism and racism by outcome are still huge. But these type of activism is what was going to not only not get rid of implicit racism, it's going to bring back explicit racism. It's going to increase tensions between the races. And that's what, here's the thing, I'm not entirely sure if that's not by design. You talk about good intentions. I'm not entirely sure if there are good intentions, because a lot of these people's activism is completely dependent on tension between races.
Could you not have, I'm not getting into this. But yeah, was there anything else you wanted to discuss?
No. Is there any, do we agree on everything? Like, what the hell? Not good.
I didn't know, were you looking for an argument?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I like.
Do you know who you should bring on? You need to bring on Mariam Namazi. She's very opinionated about this.
I'm scared.
Why are you scared of Mariam?
Because I feel I don't.
That you do.
I respect her, and I don't want to lose. I don't want her to think badly of me.
You want?
I know. But you don't think I have been following Mariam Namazi since like my child. We're ex-Muslims. Mariam Namazi used to be our only go-to figure as an ex-Muslim to look up to for many years. Of course, you know this story. I'm now better at it because I have a Persian Atheist Republic Persian channel that I host.
So much. That must help so much.
Yeah, it's coming back.
Yeah.
But they make fun of me on that channel all the time. I wasn't called a racist, so that's progress.
Oh,
that's huge.
I think we can dispel that now.
Only now.
You know what I'm going to take away from this the most is that you said the word Wokistani.
You know what pisses me off when people think I'm racist? Is like, no, I shouldn't complain. It's because it's
complain.
No, I shouldn't complain because it's like.
What do you expect of me? You put your opinions out there in the internet, and you think like people are not gonna like.
Okay, but you're allowed to complain. Your feelings matter. I mean, we care about you.
Because I have been an anti-racism activist for a longer period of time than I have been an atheist activist, right? To those people, to a lot of people who recognize me from Iran and my activism in Iran, there's a lot of people that if you go and tell them like, oh yeah, Armin is racist, they're supposed to be, I wish. We were told in school that Bilal had such a lovely voice when he sang the azan, that as a reward for his azan, when he goes to heaven, his skin will turn white. And everybody in class thought that's such a beautiful message. Like nobody, like there's not a single person that I can even think of that ever thought like, what the fuck? Like even I didn't like. I was a kid. I also thought like, oh my god, such a beautiful message. Like the idea of this being like what this being
anti-blackness.
Yeah, that didn't cross anyone's mind. Anyone's mind. That this is like wrong to even suggest.
But it is wrong to suggest. Like it's fucked up. Definitely contact Mariam. She'd love to talk to you.
I'll wait for her.
If you don't, I will.
Okay. I'm scared. I don't want to. Yeah.
You're scared.
I am. I'm genuinely scared.
Your idol.
She's like
she's gonna yell at you.
She's like the mother of the ex-Muslim movement.
So?
I don't want to lose her respect. She gave me an award for of the Atheist of the Year, and she's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm afraid of." She's thinking that she regrets. What?
She gave you an award for Atheist of the Year.
Yeah. She was in the committee that selected me.
Oh.
And I feel like she's gonna be like, "What did I do? I gave the Atheist Year Award to a racist."
Tell her that you're scared. Let her know. She'll be gentle. I just knew you were getting in a lot more trouble than I was.
Yeah, because here's the thing. People are saying like, "Oh, what?" Like the reason why I'm getting in trouble because I feel like when there are certain things that people say, yes, this is true, but you shouldn't say it, I get triggered. Okay? I like, tell me exactly the things that are true that I'm not supposed to say. So I could go shout it off the rooftops. Okay? Because if you draw red lines around truth claims, I'm gonna piss on your red lines. I'm gonna piss on your red lines because that's what I did with Islam. I did that with Islam, even though at the risk of death. So, fuck your red lines.
Yeah.
Fuck your taboos. This is the truth, and I'm gonna say it. So, come at me. Get in trouble.
You heard it here, folks. Come at him. But yeah, are we closing this out then, or what are we doing?
Stop recording.